What it do? What it do? What it do? It's your boy DeMarcus, and we back with the life of a multifaceted man. And in this episode, I wanted to talk about something a bit different. I feel like for my content, for the most of the episodes that I've done, it's been more so kind of about like self development and me as an individual, my perspectives. But for this one, I wanted to talk just about like one of my multifacets that is new to me, something that's I didn't necessarily think that would be a multifacet. One, because I didn't know that I was able to do it in this particular way, but one that's super dope because of all the progress that I've been able to see. And that has been having a hydroponic garden. Yes, I said a hydroponic garden. And you probably like, DeMarcus, what? Some of y'all probably like, what is that? Like, you doing gardening now? You trying to be, what's going on? And so for those not familiar, like a hydroponic garden is an indoor garden that allows you to be able to grow plants and grow herbs from the comfort of your home. And so when you think about the way in which plants typically are grown, obviously it's in a garden, like a regular garden, and you got to be able to have regular mulch, soil, put the seeds into the ground, and you're watching it harvest. You got to do all the trimming and all that type of stuff. Well, funny enough, the hydroponic garden is very similar. Like it works in a similar type of way, but the way in which the garden is constructed works totally different. And so let's talk about where I first got the idea of the hydroponic garden from. So for a friend of mine, she had this hydroponic garden, right? And so when I go by and visit, I'm seeing this garden and I'm just like, bro, this looks so cool. Like, what is this? What's going on? Like, you actually like growing plants and stuff in your apartment. And she was like, yeah, this is called a hydroponic garden. So sometimes what I'll do is, I'll grow my herbs and I'll grow, different plants and things like that I can use, while I'm cooking. And so for me, like in this past year, I've really leveled up with my cooking. Like I've really put time into the craft, and it's been a time to where I've really felt as if things have really been coming to me in a natural way, where I've been really excited more than I ever have to be able to cook. And I've had, more time to be able to focus on it as well. So as me and her are hanging out, like, I'm going over there and times when she's making me food, I'm noticing that like I go into the refrigerator and she don't necessarily have no herbs and stuff like that. And so I'm like, where's this stuff coming from? Like, you went to the store that quick? Like, was I chilling in her room or whatever? And what happened was she'd be like, no, this comes from the hydroponic garden. And so, that might sound like goofy or whatever about me thinking of it like that, but I'm just not getting the concept at the time of like, hey, you really growing your own herbs into the crib. Because especially for us country folks, like you've always been told that on farms and things like that, and when you see people have gardens, you're only told that this is the way of having a garden. Like anytime that people talk about gardens, just thinking of having, a huge house and you're dedicating a designated area to be able to grow whatever type of plant you want. And a lot of times you're not even just talking about like fruits and herbs. You're talking about just regular plants like flowers. And so she would make me food. I'm just sitting there like, this is dope. And so this is getting me into the mindset as I'm cooking, like, okay, what are ways in which I can like use different types of herbs and use different things, in my foods. And I will say, like, she's someone that's been super dope for me because she's helped me to be able to get more well versed with like a lot of herbs, from different cultures and stuff like that. And so how I got to the hydroponic garden. So I'm kind of intrigued by this. I'm like, oh, this looks real dope. And so I go look online and I see the prices and I say that's why it's dope. You got to spend, a little ticket on it. You spending $300 to $500 depending on which one you want. And so I'm thinking, whenever I get, to a good financial situation, then I'll get to a point to where I can actually spend money on something like this. But right now is not the time. And so especially because if it's not something that I'm fully excited for, like, I need to get to a point to where I'm really going to spend time on this investment. So some time goes by and I'm starting to do more research on this. I'm like, this is definitely interesting. This seems like real cool. So this is something that I'm thinking in my mind, like I can put it on my wish list, on Amazon. And so I kid you not, some months later, she said, DeMarcus, if you want, you can have my hydroponic garden. I'm over here like, hold on, what? Like, DeMarcus, if you want, you can have the garden. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, you was just using it anytime, like when I come over, like, can you make me food and stuff like that? Like, you're using it like garden. What are you talking about? She said, yeah, but to be honest, like, I don't have any space for it. This one's a little bit too big for what I'm trying to do with my apartment and stuff like that. I'm like, man, are you serious? Like, she's like, Marcus, I'm being so serious. Like, you can take it. And there's someone that's like very dear to my heart and stuff like that. So I want to get into like, full details, but the point is that she gave me this hydroponic garden. And so I'm thinking, okay, this is very expensive. So I'm the type to where if somebody's going to give me a gift or something like that, I want to make sure that I'm actually utilizing it. And so probably for like about a couple of months, I just had things going on, and I also, procrastinated a bit because I'm like, man, I ain't really got too much to spend on the Ubers. And so I don't really know how I'm going to get the garden anyway. So, you know what? I'll kind of just wait till I get to a point where I'm really, really wanting it. And sometimes for me, it's funny because I'll get into these modes where I'm like, man, let's get it done. So if it comes to cleaning an apartment, if it comes to moving stuff, like I get into this, like my country boy zone, that Bob the Builder zone, where I'm like, let's fix it. Let's get it done. If it's taking multiple boxes down the stairs, I'm locked in because I know what it takes to work hard in those elements. When I was younger, having to move stuff and have to get stuff done, you get into the zone where you're tired of something sitting in the area. You're tired of something just being the same, so you kind of lock in. You're like, man, I'm gonna go ahead and challenge myself. We're gonna get it done. So part of me being dauntless started towards, it was a bit last year in some areas, and so towards the end of the year, moving into this year, I'm like, bro, let's really focus on this stuff. And so pulled up to her apartment complex. She was at work. I said, you know what? She said that she gonna work with me on getting this to my apartment all the way in Brooklyn. And I said, you know what? I'm finna be super nigga. I'm finna be super nigga and take this all the way to my apartment. Now, let me give y'all an idea on what I mean by that. When I first moved into my apartment with my boys a few years ago, before I got my own spot now, I remember when I had to get all my stuff shipped from KY to the crib. So for me at the time, I had clothes that I had made from the clothing brand. I had heat presses. I had all this tech stuff. So anytime with me, when it comes to moving, when it comes to traveling and all that, I always just have just a lot of stuff. And so I remember I had to go through the process of getting all these boxes shipped through UPS. So I was trying to be cost efficient at the time because I was just moving. I didn't have a whole lot of money to be able to spend on moving stuff. So I ended up getting the boxes shipped to New York from Kentucky. And so these boxes were heavy boxes as well too. But tell me why, and I'm going to get back into the story, but tell me why when the UPS person dropped the boxes off, I could tell that the boxes were in different boxes than I had originally got them shipped from. So somewhere at the facility, they had ended up changing the boxes. And so I ended up losing like some of my stuff, my heat press and some of the other. So I eventually had to get some new things. But the weight of the boxes, most of my stuff was there. So the weight of the boxes were anywhere between 50 to 60 pounds. Now, at my old spot, for the people that used to pull up, you might have some PTSD remembering having to walk up them stairs. So we had 4 floors and we didn't have any elevator. So for me, I like challenging myself at times. It was like, we ain't got no stairs, let's walk up it. And those are ways in which I would always get my legs stronger because I would always push myself to go upstairs and stuff multiple times. So anyways, I said, man, this dude done drop all these boxes here at the very bottom. He ain't bringing them up. And I'm the type to where I ain't got time to wait all day for nobody, especially for me as a man. I'm talking about other men. For me as a man, I'm going to get this shit done. Sometimes when I ask my other boys, they be like, all right, man, when I get some time, I'll definitely try to help you get them up. Hey, bro, I ain't got time for that shit. Let's get it done. I carried 4 40 to 50 pound boxes of 4 flights of stairs. Got it done like it was nothing. Yeah, I was tired. My back was a little achy, but it really wasn't that bad at all. It's just because it was just the weight of it. But that was nothing to me because I'd be in the gym and I'd be staying active and I push myself through those moments. But this is why I tell y'all, when you put yourself in a certain zone, when you push through and you determine, it's all good. I got those boxes upstairs by myself. When I moved from that apartment, we had this big green couch that I have at my spot now. Man, that thing weigh a lot and it's a long couch. Roommates and stuff, they was being, taking forever in regards to moving. They was being lackadaisical. I don't move like that. How me and my family get it done, we get it done. So what did I do? I took that big ass couch, I moved it all the way from the top floor down to the very bottom. So technically, you would count it as a fifth floor because my roommates instead at the very top, they would have to walk up another layer of steps to get to their rooms. Man, I took that couch all the way from the fifth floor down to the very bottom floor, all steps by myself. And that's how we get it done. So you know what I did with that hydroponic garden? I took that mug all the way from Upper Manhattan onto the train with my backpack on tight, with my other bag in my hand, and I was a savage. I was really him that day. I'm walking in the train station with it. I'm on the trains with it. The train's taking even longer because it's going local that day. But you know what? I'm determined to get it done. And I'm like, as I told you before, when you go through certain situations in life, you like, I'm going to get through this. This ain't no like adversity situation, but it's one where it's like, I've been in a situation where I had to carry some heavier things and I had to get something from here to there because I can't wait on other people. Not that my friend wouldn't have helped, but she's someone that I always look out for me. She's someone that, like I said, is very dear to my heart, but she was at work that day. So what did I do? I'm going to thug it out and we're going to get it done. She hits me up. She's like, hey, DeMarcus, was you able to, I'll definitely get with you and we can figure out a time to get the garden and stuff. I said, I already thugged it out. I took it to the crib. So like, DeMarcus, you took it to the crib? I said, yeah. Since I already, I got the keys, so I went ahead and went to the crib, her spot, got the garden, took it all the way from her spot and took it to mine. Got on the train station, didn't get into no Uber or nothing like that. And so for me, when it comes to getting the hydroponic garden to my spot, that's a heavy garden. And so I got the Farm 12 XL, and so you talking about something else that's heavy. And you have, for this, you got the different layers. So there's a UV light that goes over top of the plants, and that's what helps the plants to grow because you don't have sunlight. And so this is something that's on like some very small cords. So if this slings way too hard, even though it's on like some small type of barbed wire, that shit gonna break. So what you got to do, you got to make sure that you ain't swinging it too hard. So what I had to do is I had to walk, pretty far. Then I would stop for a second, one, because it was heavy too, and I got this heavy ass backpack on me. So then I got to walk further. So when we get to the train, that's my time to rest. And so I'm going all the way from Upper Manhattan, going through 42nd, Times Square, where it's packed. And then I got to get to the queue, and then I got to take it up some more stairs and everything. But I'm a trooper. I was built for this. I'm built for strong situations like that. That's why I be making sure that I move in the gym, because there might be times where I need to hold a lot of weight. I'm a guy too where I need to hold up my women. You don't want to be that guy that can't pick up your woman. So we in the gym, we making sure that we picking up strong stuff. We making sure we take the stairs when we can versus the elevator, because that's what big dogs do. You don't just keep taking the elevator all the time. You challenge yourself, take them stairs someday, and you get it done. So So that's the story of me getting the hydroponic garden. So once I got the garden, she came over one day, and then she actually helped me to set it up. She's like, here, DeMarcus, this is how you do this and that. And this was dope because she was well versed on it. Like, I didn't really have to get into the instructions as much. I was able to figure out like some settings that she wasn't able to at first, because I'm just like very techie and I love being able to look at different things. And man, we got it set up. And so when she first gave it to me, so with the hydroponic garden, you have what they call these seed pods, and the seed pods are like a reflection of soil. And so there's just like these brown little soil looking things, and they're in a silicone or like a not like a silicone. They're in a cone or like an oval type of shape. And what you do is you put them into these plastic containers. And so now this is going to be a placeholder for the soil. The next thing that you do is you find what type of herbs or what type of flowers or plants that you want to use. And this is how you base it on what seeds you're going to put in. So at first, when she gave me the garden, what she had left was like some I think she might have had some a lot of garden tomatoes and maybe like some basil. So at the time, I'm like, you know what? Let me just start off with the tomatoes. And so she warned me, and I had to actually um, I had to actually get this step down. But when you're doing the tomato trees or tomato plants, they grow like crazy. They grow like wildfire. So what you got to do is there's a step called pruning, and I'll get into that later. But pruning is pretty much you cutting off extended leaves in order to get the tree to focus on the sprout of the tomato. So a lot of times you just have extra leaves that are there, and the reason for pruning is because you don't want the leaves from one particular flower or plant to overshadow the others. The more that one plant overshadows the others, that's going to create shade over an herb or a plant, and it's going to cause it to not grow properly. So started off with tomatoes, then I had like a little bit of basil. I think I ended up maybe using the basil, and then what I did after that, I ended up ordering my own pods, and then I ended up ordering my own herbs and everything. So what I ended up ordering was peppers. So I got this. It may be like 20 or 30 different types of peppers, but I got like sweet bell peppers, cayenne peppers, and everything. Then I got this other one that's like 20 plus herbs. So like mountain mint, basil, dill. I got some dill growing in there now. Just all these different types of herbs. Now, what's so interesting about the process is you see how all seeds aren't created equal. So you'll see for like, I believe it was for maybe the dill, that they're real tiny. For the mint is super tiny, like to the point to where you almost maybe need a microscope if you're trying to see it, or you need some binoculars if you're trying to see it from a bigger perspective. But all you need is just like a couple of these seeds to put in each pod. And so when you put the pod into the hydroponic garden, there's like some small holes, and so you place each pod in there, and then you have a plastic top that goes over top of the different pod. And so you only need about a few different seeds for each one that you're going to put in, and they also give you stickers where you can label each pod so you know which is which. And so as you continue to learn more about the herbs and everything, you'll see which ones may need more shade. May need more light. You see which ones may bloom, quicker, and all this type of stuff. So, for instance, my garden tomatoes, you're now seeing where the sprout is about to open, where tomatoes will start to grow, and this has been almost 45, 46 days. Now for my dill is sprouted up, and it's only been like a few weeks. So again, all seeds and all plants and herbs aren't created equal. So what I noticed is that again, for each plant it's going to move in this different way, but it's dope to be able to see how many different plants you can have. So right now I think I got some cayenne peppers, sweet bell peppers, mountain mint, dill. I think I have some maybe basil, and then I got the rest is garden tomatoes. And I actually had maybe one or two plants that they didn't sprout correctly, so you had to throw them away. But what I did is just add something else. So what happens is at the very bottom you have a tank, and so the tank is it's big enough to hold a gallon of water. And so what you do is like every few weeks you fill that tank up, because this is how your plants are going to grow. So what happens is once you put those pods into the different holes, you fill up the water, and there's a pump in the back. So the pump is what's going to circulate the water. Now for the setting of it, it's typically recommended that you have your hydroponic garden on for about 15 hours a day as far as for the light. And this is what's going to keep the UV light similar to the sunlight. Now you can leave it on longer if you want to, but I have it set for the recommended 15 hours. So I think it's for mine is 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. It actually just cut off not too long ago. And so what happens is all you got to do is you can move the light up and down for the hydroponic garden. You just want to get the light as close to the plants as you can until it won't go down any further. And as the plants start to grow, then you want to be able to elevate the light. But what it does on the app for you and what it does on the system is it tells you when you need to add plant food. So for those that don't know, your plants need food to be able to continue growing. So that's going to help them to stay healthy and to be able to grow at a rapid pace. So this is going to help to work with the soil as well. So every couple of weeks, you're going to put in plant food, and then every couple of weeks, you want to change out the water. And And actually, one thing that I noticed is at first it was more so changing out the water because you don't want the same type of water within the plants. As my plants started to grow, which was crazy, is I started to see that the plants were using all the water. So recently, when I was putting in more plant food and putting in more water, I was like, this thing feels light as heck. What happened? All the plants were using the water. That's why they were growing so quick. So to give y'all just kind of like a summary with the hydroponic garden, what you do is you put the pods in there, you put the water in, it has the pump and everything. And so the pump will pretty much go like every 5 to 10 minutes. And what the pump does, it circulates that water to hit the soil so your plants can grow. And so what you got to do is you just monitor it. Like I said, you can start pruning. So pruning is whenever you're cutting off certain leaves on the plant. So for instance, if I have a tree that's going straight up, and sometimes you have those branches that stick out to the left and the right, but then you also have some branches on those that are just leaves, and the rest of your tree is growing to the top, and then you have some tree branches that are actually growing herbs and plants. Well, for those you want to keep. For the ones that are just sitting there and they ain't doing nothing, they're just an extra arm or just an extra leg there, you want to cut those off because those aren't producing any type of nutrients, or they're not producing any type of fruits, herbs, or vegetables. And so that's what you're doing when you're pruning. You want to be able to cut off those extra leaves because why? Since the tomato plant grows so large, it's going to overshadow some of those other plants. And some of the plants, they need a little bit more light. Like the dill, for it to grow to its proper capacity, it needs a lot more light than some of the others. This is because it's more of a lighter plant. And so that's my hydroponic garden. I think, like I said, I'm on day maybe 45, 46 of it growing. I think the deal is like, it's gotten to a point where I could probably use it, but I want to see how much further it needs to go. For the tomatoes, like I said, they haven't fully grown yet. You started to see where, like for flowers, whenever they're starting to sprout and the flower is about to bloom outside of that, inside of it to the outside, that's how my tomatoes are starting to look. So I don't see any tomatoes yet, but that's how it's starting to look. For the mint, that's starting to grow. For the basil, I believe it's basil, that's starting to grow. And then for the peppers and everything, those are growing too. So that's one of my multifacets now. I become so intrigued with it. My friends should be like, DeMarcus, I knew this would be great for you, and you're doing more about researching, and you've gotten more products for it than I ever did the whole time that I had it. And that's part about being multifaceted, man. Like when you're able to open up your mind and being able to try things, being dauntless, and more so just seeing life from a different lens, you are open to doing that. So when I'm telling my parents and telling friends, like, you got a hydroponic garden, my dad, he's like, man, you got you a garden, man. What is that? And so for me, like, as I explained, if you're someone that makes it dope, especially for us as men, like a lot of times older men can think, I guess girly. I don't know, men do that, that's girly. But whenever you're really able to express it and you're able to show the benefits and you're showing that you're actionary, they're like, you know what, man, it's actually really dope. And so that's why for me as a man, like, I continue to move in ways where I can challenge myself and move forward, because my dad is also someone, as much as he can like kind of come off like super masculine at times, he's someone that's always pushed me to try different things and to be open from a male perspective. And my mom has always been a person where she's been able to support things that I'm doing, and she trusts me in those different spaces and realms. So that's my hydroponic garden, man. We coming up on like I said, 45, 46 days. That's probably what it's probably like close to 7 to 8 weeks, and we still progressing. So I'll definitely do some more videos on that soon. What I'll probably even do is like different series and different seasons as I continue to grow my podcast and start to get like more rapport, feedback, and start to get more people tuned in. But right now, like, this is just a separate video I wanted to do to show y'all how your boy is a life of a multifacet. Let me say that again. Show you how the multifacets of DeMarcus come together, and to give y'all enlightenment onto the life of a multifacet. You see how I like that better? That sounded a lot better. See, I try to be able to say things raw and real in a way to where y'all see me even messing up or stumbling over my words in real time, but it's because I'm thinking out loud. So I'm trying to come up with some smooth stuff. But this is the life of a multifacet, man. It's your boy DeMarcus, and we out of here. Yeah.